What's going on, everybody? Steve here. This time I'm doing another shoe review and I'm covering the New Balance Numeric 600, the Tom Knox Pro model. And this shoe, as you can see, is a cup sole with the fuel cell foam midsole technology throughout it, and really nice athletic looking shoe, relatively lightweight. And I'll tell you a little bit about the specifics, but I've been skating these shoes for about 2 weeks now, maybe put in about 10-12 hours of skating, and they're holding up really nicely. I do glue down or use super glue to cover up the stitching whenever I get a new pair of shoes, just to help them last a little bit longer or hold their shape. So I did that with these shoes, and you'll see some wear and tear, and I will also tell you what I like about the shoe and what I don't like, or what I would change about this shoe. So with that said, let's get some up close with this particular footwear model. So to start things out with this particular shoe overview, you can see that it is in fact a cup sole. It uses the fuel cell technology. You can see that written there. Basically what that means is that there is a foam midsole, or a foam shank, if you will, that goes from the toe to the heel. If I were to cut this shoe in half so that you could see what's in the sole, you would see that foam end to end. Now, a lot of shoes that are cup soles don't necessarily have foam end to end, so you will oftentimes only see the foam in the back, and the thing that provides your foot with cushioning is the insole itself. Now, some shoes are also getting to the point where there's no foam in the midsole at all, and the only cushioning is provided by either the outsole, the rubber, and the insole itself. Like you see that on the new Nike SB iShod Wear Max. That shoe in particular has like an Air Max insole, and the outsole is the only other form of padding. But this one, and a big reason why I got it, is because it does have that end-to-end padding, just like the New Balance Numeric 480 and the two Tiago Lemos Pro models. I did review the 808 on this channel before. If I'm taking this insole out, you can see it's standard Ortholite technology for the insole. Ortholite is not a New Balance specific product, and you'll often find this in ASICS shoes as well, but it's just an additional type of polyurethane based foam to give yourself a little bit of padding. But this is a thinner insole, and that's because the midsole has cushioning within it. Other features of the shoe that I want to point out, one thing about the outsole is you do have kind of these central pieces that allow it to flex a little bit more, so it does give it an athletic feel versus having like the cup go end to end. So without having sidewalls on the cup sole in the middle of the shoe, like where your arch foot is, you do get a little bit more flexibility, which is nice. The shoe has phantom fit technology in it. I don't really even know what that means. I think it's intended to make it feel like you're just wearing a sock, but it does feel, if I stuck my hands down in there, it does feel really smooth, like a sock or something like that. So you could skate these barefoot and probably be pretty comfortable, if you can put up with the stink. But nevertheless, looking at the areas of the shoe that would get worn in or worn out as you're actually skating, let's start with the toe. The toe cap is leather. You can see there's quite a bit of stitching around the toe cap, and I'll show you on my primary ollie foot where I find this to be an issue. But I would say that this is probably the weak point of the shoe. There's just not that much material in points where you would rub up against your board or your grip tape with the shoe doing ollies, kickflips, that sort of thing. So that is kind of a drawback, and I would expect that if they end up doing an updated Tom Knox Pro model, they probably end up correcting that just because the Tiago Lemos shoe is a lot better in that regard. Now the back of the shoe, pretty straightforward, just leather wrapping throughout. Feels very sturdy and without feeling stiff. That's one thing that I feel like is probably the strong point of the shoe, is it feels very flexible and athletic without compromising support. So you do get a nice snug fit, still quite a bit of breathability. The toe box is fairly wide as well. So if you have a need for something that is still relatively lightweight but feels like you do have some foot protection, this might be a good shoe for you. But needless to say, the materials on here are really good. It's just that the placement might need some updates. And the tongue itself doesn't have a lot of padding to it, a little bit. So it's relatively thin. It kind of feels a little bit more like what you'd find in a vulcanized shoe, which is nice. It definitely seems like they concentrated on ensuring that this gave you the protection of a cup sole without feeling as though it was super bulky. And definitely will feel, for me, like when I switched from a Tiago 808 to this, felt like I got a much lighter shoe. A few other nice features. You got these plastic eyelets here, kind of give you some styling. And the tongue itself has a good amount of narrowness, and the laces are kept fairly high up the shoe, so you don't really have to worry as much about ripping through those as you would with lace systems that are lower down the sidewall. The toe and outsole, this rubber is nice. I feel like it's a little bit on the harder end, at least in comparison to other brands, which makes it more durable. But I feel like even though it's harder, it does give you a good amount of grip. And the tread pattern, I found anyway, I really like this tread pattern. It's also used on the 480s. I get a lot of good grip and traction with this particular tread pattern. So I'm glad they used it for the Tom Knox shoe because it is a nice feature. You can see that there's stitching throughout the toe. So this stuff, and this happens with every shoe, it's not specific to this particular one, but that does blow out after you've been doing ollies and kickflips and stuff like that for a while. So if you want that to last longer, I would definitely recommend putting some super glue in there. All right, so now you can see my ollie foot, and as you can see, quite a bit of wear right in that ollie patch area. And while my foot is protected, I'm surprised that this isn't just one piece covered up. Why there's a little like window in here between materials doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, because it's not like, you know, a square inch of leather is going to really make that much of a difference in terms of weight or performance. But it just, I think the problem with this is that it doesn't look good once it starts wearing through. But probably would happen anyway, so whatever. But needless to say, I think the toe cap here is not the best toe cap that New Balance Numeric has done. I think that they probably should consider revamping this in whatever future pro models they have for Tom Knox, simply because this is only after about 10-12 hours of skating, and it's pretty beat, and I had super glued down the stitching as well, and that's already starting to blow out as well. So yeah, that would be, if you're looking for a durable shoe, this is probably not quite as durable or long lasting as what you get in the 480s or one of the Tiagos, but all in all still looks okay. And you know, I don't get bothered staring down at my feet when there's that coming off of it, so no worries there. Last thing I want to point out on this shoe is just again, kind of the more squarish toe box. It does give you a wider fit up here, which for those of you who need a wider skate shoe because your foot's wider, you might find a higher degree of comfort with this particular shoe than with other models on the market, especially in comparison to like, I think Nike tends to run a little bit narrower, Vans runs a little narrower. New Balance tends to be on the wider side, but it really is a good option if you're looking for that kind of comfort. And again, nice athletic look to it, as you might expect from New Balance. So all in all, I would say this shoe, I'd probably rate it like a 7.5 out of 10 or something like that. I would get it again, but there are definitely other shoes that I like more, but there's nothing wrong with this one, especially at the price point of about $95 USD. So yeah, it's good shoe. So that does it for the New Balance Numeric 600 Tom Knox Pro Model shoe review. Hope you found this informative, and if you're considering the shoe, it is a good athletic feeling shoe, lightweight, but if you're looking for something that's super padded, maybe you want to consider like a Tiago Lemos Pro Model or something along those lines if you like New Balance. Otherwise, I think this is a perfectly good shoe, good value for the money. And if you have any additional questions about the shoe, just drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.